in the nation, and is digital broadcasting a future for sport, for the sport maybe?
I'll,
I think it's a force multiplier. Anything that allows people to have easier access to a game is only going to be helpful for the game. It's still small right now, but in a 5-year, 10-year time frame, I'm sure it'll be a different world out there.
Thank you. There was a lady out there at the back. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Namrata Chatterjee. I'm a sports lawyer. My question is more directed to Mr. Kushal Das. We've all agreed that football hasn't reached its maturity in India at the moment. So in that landscape, where do you find the scope for women's football? I mean, drawing a comparison right now to US maybe and the US women's soccer team, how even there it's not the most popular sport, but to increase the overall popularity of the sport, they have worked a lot on the women's sport. So what is AIFF's vision towards women's sport in India?
We do realize the potential of women's football in India, and in that context, we have started a women's league. The preliminary rounds have been completed, and now we are awaiting the confirmation from some of the teams for the final round, which would probably be sometimes in January, February. So that's the beginning. Our vision, we think, is to first qualify for the Asian Cup, which I think is in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, 2018, and then there is of course, the Women's World Cup in 2019. Now, that may be far-fetched, but we take inspiration from the fact that Cameroon, which was ranked about 54 or 55, managed to qualify for the 2015 World Cup in in Canada. And India, the women's team is ranked 57 right now. So there is hope. That's the reason we have created this women's league. And we want to now appoint a high quality or a high performance coach for the national team. And hopefully, at least try and qualify for the 2018 Asian Cup. That will be the first step.
Gentleman out here, and then, I'm sorry, last couple of questions. Gentleman here first, and then the gentleman there. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Anish, and I work for 2022 FIFA World Cup Committee in Qatar. My question is towards Mr. Kushal, or either Mr. Shaji also can answer. I would like to know that regarding the community engagement activities which you are, especially focusing on under 17 World Cup, which is happening next year. So other than the school programs which you are highlighting, is there any other major programs you are running for a different age group I'm asking about?
So I'll take that. So we are doing, so there are two parts to our community activity. One is obviously the school program, which is our single biggest thing. But as you rightly said, there are many people who are above the age of 18 who can no longer play, but who are invested in football. So we, from January onwards, what we are doing is a very, very large volunteering activity, which stretches across almost all age groups, because the beauty of it is, while the World Cup is played in 6 venues, Mission 11 Million goes across to every state in the country. So the opportunity to help develop football, mentor footballers, reach out to them, add further resources to them, help find people, these are all opportunities open to every male or female Indian, even above the age of 18, who's prepared to invest in this tournament. And as you very rightly said, ownership comes from being a part of something. So our hope is to get a huge pool of volunteers. We're looking at more than 30 to 40,000 around the country to be a part of this volunteering process, first with Mission 11 Million, and then a more limited number who will work specifically on the World Cup.
Thank you.
Last question here, and then I think
Hi, my name is Vikram. My question is twofold. First, for Nitin, you mentioned how it is very important for football to produce results in the next 3-4 years, and the process and the growth to be accelerated. Do you think a model like a Pro Kabaddi League or a Pro Badminton League can be replicated in football, given that it requires much larger infrastructure in terms of execution? And do you think that is possible to create the popularity as Pro Kabaddi or a Badminton has done? My second part is to Shaji and Kushal. We talk about spreading football throughout the country and how everyone should be included, but we spoke about how football is very popular in West Bengal, Kerala, and the Northeast. Have we done enough to tap the best talent and create heroes from there, which can then create a ripple effect across the country?
Okay, we'll take those both very quickly, and then I think Mayank has something to say, and then we are done. First, these two, please.
No, I don't think a pro kabaddi model would apply to a football. I think the challenges of each of these sports are completely different. In kabaddi or in cricket, we have the world's best players. In football, we don't, at least not in India. So it will not be a copy and paste approach. Yes, there are learnings to take from each of these sports, whether it's in terms of infrastructure, as I mentioned, how to get stadiums across the country, or how to market itself. But fundamentally, I go back to the point I was making earlier. We need heroes. Maybe there is a way to change the game. Maybe there is a woman who comes up as a hero or a sporting icon. Maybe there's an under-17 player who comes up as a icon for the sport. But that is what, in my mind, is absolutely needed to propel the sport forward in the next 3 or 4 years.
Kushal, if you'll take the next part of that. Sorry, could you just repeat that question also? The second part.
Oh, so my question was that we always concentrate on spreading the game on a completely national basis and going to every state. But have we done enough to produce players from the states which have a huge following? Have we tapped into the best talents in the Northeast? Have we tapped into the best talents from Kerala or West Bengal so that they become heroes and then it creates a ripple effect around the country? Because every sport has a legacy in some city or some region. For example, Hyderabad has produced our best badminton players.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. I mean, the talent is being produced from Northeast these days, and the 70% of the national team is comprised of players from Northeast. Bengal, for some reason, is not producing enough talent, I would say. No, I wouldn't say the right kind of talent, but enough talent. And that actually is, again, something which the state association has to take up. It is impossible for the federation to go into states to find players. It is up to the state association. What we can do is empower the state associations to improve their capacities so that they can create the right kind of ecosystem to identify talent, which we are doing. We have started a state development program where we've concentrated on 6 of the World Cup venues and created a technical and a marketing infrastructure so that both in terms of visibility of the game, as you say, is improved, as well as the right kind of talent is identified, who can then come into at the national level, where then we can take them to the national team. That's how the whole chain works.
Okay, perfect. One last question from Mr. Dar.
Shaji and Joy, you can also add into that. We have been talking since the beginning of this event today about the FIFA 2017 for under 17 to be held in India. What is the plan in terms of promoting and marketing the FIFA 2017 in under 17 in India? How is it? What are we looking at? How are we trying to get the crowds to those matches? Because as aware, the ticket sales would hardly be there for watching an under 17 game. So what is the plan to really promote crowd to come to watch these matches? What is that we are looking at?
Okay, should I? Okay, so let's break it up into two very specific parts. One is the most difficult part, which we all have to say, which is bums on seats, making sure that the stadiums are full. I think so. That is priority one. The second is how big can you make it on air? Okay, so I think both these parts are important. The first, I think, what we are doing is we are working very, very closely with the states, because it's really important. So even if you go to a state and you say, if they cannot fill 80,000 people in the final, or 60,000 people in the final, or 20,000 people, if you cannot fill a stadium, you're not eligible to be a final state. Okay, number one. Number two is bus kids in. Get children into buses. It's not just kids, it's their parents. So when we are encouraging, and we believe in India, one thing is, giving things for free is a problem in India because, we take it for granted. So even if we give a child a ticket, we have to say that, okay, you might have deserved or done something to win this ticket, but your parents have to pay it and come with you. Otherwise, you can't watch the game. So one is working on a state-by-state, block-by-block basis, saying we have to make sure the stadiums are as full as possible. And as you will know that most of these stadiums, we're reasonably confident we'll do a really good job. The biggest challenge is about 2.5 kilometers from here. where other than the Prime Minister, we don't know any other person who can fill Delhi Stadium. But in every other state, really concerted efforts are being made to make sure these stadia are full. Because that's really important even for the broadcaster. He needs to see people in the stadium. There's nothing worse than seeing empty stadium. The second part, and we are working very closely with Sonia on this, is to say, you see, we can never say that this is the tournament where India is going to win, or there are any big stars. So one is, this is the nursery of the future stars. So there's an absolutely amazing video which you'll see, which has Fabregas, Neymar, Toni Kroos, Anthony Martial, James Rodriguez. All these guys started off as under-17 stars. So the first thing we tell you is that you are going to watch the stars of the future for the first time. This is the first time in your life that you are ever going to have a World Cup in your country. You've never had a World Cup, and you're going to have the opportunity to watch them. So that's one very important part of it. The second part of it is saying, get behind this team. This is the first Indian team who's played a World Cup. So over the next 6, 7, 8 months, these players who we've so far, thanks because of our coach, have kept away from you, slowly you'll begin to understand them. And remember one more interesting thing. We are the lost generation. We saw Indian football at its worst time. The people who were around in the 60s at least saw Indian football at its peak. They won an Asian Games. We've seen nothing but sorrow. But the next generation, the millennials who this tournament is about, they're born in 2000. We were born in a third world country. They've been born in a superpower. By 2000 years superpower. And they have no fear. They have no fear. They'll say, yaar, hamara team World Cup khel rahe hai. Kuch bhi ho sakta hai. We'll see, we'll fight it out. The problems, the worries, the apprehensions that we have, the millennials don't. So our job is to take this World Cup and put it in their hands and let them take it forward. That's our job.
Just a suggestion here across. It could be if everyone together as a team work and try to work out on the CSR thing with the corporates. It would help a lot, basically, taking a few corporates into the network and basically try and see that they could promote and get some underprivileged children and all those kind of things across to come and watch the matches, which could really benefit everyone across.
Definitely. Thank you very much. We are doing something. In fact, Mr. Das is meeting some people in the afternoon today on the same lines. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's been absolutely very, very engaging. And I think the perspectives that we've got for the future, it's really important for us all to look at it in very different ways, not necessarily agree all the time, but all of us have a sense of what we need to do in our particular areas of influence to make a difference. And it's been absolutely fascinating. Thank you very much, all gentlemen on the panel and all of you. Thank you. Okay, we break for lunch after this, and the next session is at 2:15? Sorry, all yours. 2:15.